Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Daniel Trasser. I am the culinary director for the Metropolitan Cooking and Entertaining Show, and it is truly an honor to welcome up here Brian and Sandy Patterson, husband and wife team, both graduates and currently instructors at l'Académie des Cuisines, and we are truly honored to have them here. Please, let's give them a warm welcome, Brian and Sandy Patterson.
Woo! Thank you. Thanks, Sandy.
Good afternoon.
You're over there.
Oh, come on, man. So while I appreciate the perception that I have top billing on this show, it is not the case. In fact, I am sharing equal billing with this lovely lady over here, my wife and co-chef, Sandy Patterson.
Hello, DC.
Now, one of the interesting dynamics that we're going to display here is that there are two sides to l'Académie des Cuisines. There is the professional campus, of which we are both products and graduates, and there's also the recreational campus, and they occupy two different geographic locations, and sometimes they even express themselves by different uniforms. But we also share many of the same sensibilities and the same passion about food and about cooking, and the food gets cooked whether you are taking professional classes or whether you take recreational classes. So I'm going to let Sandy take the lead on telling you about our menu, and I'm going to behave a little more like a sous chef because I know the success to marriage in cooking.
Hi, everybody. Today we've got a great menu for you. Brian's gonna start out with making a beet sauce. He's gonna get that going because our beets take a little while to cook, even though I'm gonna have him cut them up small. And he's gonna start out by chopping some shallots and sweat those in some butter, and we're gonna cook those down with some red wine and chicken stock, and that's gonna be a beautiful sauce on our plate that's really a showstopper. Really easy sauce to make, but you're gonna love that. We're gonna serve that today with a cauliflower flan. We're gonna do a horseradish and herb crusted rockfish, and we're gonna put some sauteed beet greens on the plate with that, okay? So Brian's chopping up his shallot, and even though it's a teeny tiny little thing, he's using the big knife. How come he didn't go with the small knife over there?
I like to think big.
Okay. Sweating is low heat cooking. I like to think in cooking as sort of high heat and low heat, and sweating is low heat cooking. In onions and shallots, the liquid in those is the bitter part of them, and when you sweat them out, like when we sweat, our liquid leaves us. Same thing with onions and shallots. The liquid comes out and you lose that bitterness, and that's why they get sweet. You don't do that with high heat cooking. High heat cooking browns things and holds liquid in. Like, you don't want to sweat out your liquid in a nice steak or chicken or something like that. So sweating is low heat cooking to get that out. So he can do low heat cooking with butter, and he's going to put a little butter in the pan. I'll do that for him since he's chopping.
I can butter my pan.
Maybe I want to butter your pan. I think I forgot how to turn these on.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
You nut.
Oh, look, it was on.
Le voila.
Don't add your garlic now. Your garlic cooks too fast. It'll often brown, and brown garlic is bitter. So don't put your garlic in up front. Garlic, my rule with garlic is garlic goes in the pan when liquid goes in. Liquid cushions garlic. It keeps it from getting too hot, from browning, from getting bitter.
I find the older I get, the later I add my garlic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For that sweeter, mellower presence.
So when are you going to put it in this time?
After I put the shallots in.
No, not even then. You need liquid, but put it in with the wine.
Well, now, what wine are we using today, Sandy?
Well, it was the bottle that was on the counter. That's usually what I grab, one that's already open. Sometimes I love to use that last little bit of a bottle that maybe I'm not really want to drink, but you know, that last little bit, I'll save it and throw that in my pan because you're going to cook it down a little bit. So that's the perfect wine to use.
You have a pinch of salt I can use?
Oh, sure. Want to share my salt with you? Salt helps draw out moisture, just like Brian takes a salt bath at night to kind of try to get out that extra toxins in liquid. The salt helps draw out the moisture of the shallots so they'll get nice and soft. I'm going to start my cauliflower flan prep over here. So I've got, of course, we need cauliflower for a cauliflower flan. And I'm going to just throw a couple of garlic cloves in. I don't need to crush them up because I'm going to cook this and then puree the whole thing. So I'm going to let the blender do the work for me.
Hey, Sandy.
Hey, what?
Can I start peeling the beets?
Yeah, why don't you get busy over there? I've got milk and a little bit of cream I'm going to cook the cauliflower with. You know, Brian says that the French are really good at taking any vegetable, cooking it, pureeing it, adding butter and cream, and making it taste good. So that's what I'm going to do with this cauliflower. So I'm going to get my milk and cream in here with my cauliflower. And I'm going to start to simmer that to soften up that cauliflower so I can puree the whole thing later.
Hey, Sandy, you see how I work to a bowl? That way I don't need a whole trash can.
Yeah, apparently you always need extra bowls, though.
But not every one of my students gets a trash can.
Yeah, but that's different when you're in the kitchen. We are not in your classroom today. You know that, right?
The world is my classroom.
Yeah.
You know, I originally didn't like beets.
Are you going to tell that story?
It was my culinary instructor at l'Académie de Cuisine when I said, "Chef, I don't like beets." And he goes, "Come here, taste a beet." All I had ever had were canned beets from my
Pickled canned
beets from my mom. And when Chef Pascal said, "Here, taste this," I was like, "Oh my God, beets are fabulous." So not only did I realize that eat whatever chef gives you, because maybe he's making it better than you've ever had it before, but the power of changing people's minds by having them taste something they may have never tasted before.
Or cooking it a little different way than you've ever had it done before.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm the next part of my flan, and a flan is basically dairy and eggs put together. Any custard is dairy and eggs put together. You can have sweet custards, flans, creme brulees, things like that. You can have savory custards. The quiche filling is a savory custard. We're gonna do a cauliflower flan, so of course it's gonna be savory. So I'm starting out with 2 yolks and 2 eggs in my bowl. I always like to do my yolks first in case I mess up. Then I can just throw the whole thing in there.
Why are you cracking your eggs on a flat surface, Sandy?
So you can ask me about it. Whoops, I'm going to the wrong bowl. So I don't usually crack my eggs on a bowl because the bowl can sometimes just push the shell in. And I just use the flat table to do it. So I've got 2 yolks and I'm doing 2 eggs. I'm going to whisk those up. And those are what are going to set my flan. So I'm going to cook the flan in a container, and then onto the plate I'm going to turn it out. So I need some whites in there to really hold up that flan. Something like a creme brulee that's served in a dish is only yolks. And it isn't as firm, and that's why we eat that in a dish and put the sugar on top afterwards, just so everyone can use a torch to play with.
Okay, I got my wine going with my sweated shallots. I think I can add my garlic now, can't I?
Yeah, I would put the garlic in with the wine. Wine is liquid, you know. One over here to heat up a little faster.
So I'm going to go ahead with 3 cloves of garlic because we want some extra pizzazz to this beet sauce. And I can have this flame on high heat. Even though I may not want it to cook on high heat, I can keep an eye on it, but I am the thermostat. That means I control how that pan behaves. I put the pan on the heat or off of the heat. If it starts to get too hot, I don't need to fiddle with the knob. Just crank it up, and you are the thermostat. You put the pan on the heat. You put the pan off of the heat.
Why are you moving the pan? Why don't you just turn the knob?
Because I want to go. I want to make this happen.
Yeah, but what if it's boiling over?
I'll keep an eye on it. That's what my right eye's for.
You're not making any sense.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and trim my leaves off and soak those and rinse the sand off of the beet leaves, and we're going to saute those beet leaves later as part of the garnish on the plate.
Beet greens are listed in one of the most nutritious of the top 5, 10 foods
top
for
5,
you.
10?
I think it's top 5, but I said 10 just in case I was wrong. Top 5, they came out with a list recently of the most cancer-fighting foods, and beet greens were up there. So don't just use the bottom part of the beet. Use your greens too. And they're really pretty. They have those pink veins in them. Okay, when I'm cooking this cauliflower, don't cook it so long that all of your dairy is gone. We're not trying to reduce the dairy and get it out of there. We're cooking it just long enough just to soften up those cauliflower heads. And I've cut them small so that they won't take forever either. I don't want to lose my dairy. I need that liquid to go into my flan. I'm going to get my cups ready too. When we cook any custard that doesn't have a shell. So like a quiche, it has a shell. But when they don't, we don't want the container that's holding the custard to heat it up and brown it on the sides. So you've got to keep your container from getting too hot, whether it's ceramic, foil, glass, whatever you're using. You can use a little ramekin at home. I'm actually going to cheat and use these little plastic cups because I love them. You can squeeze them and pop out the flan afterwards. And if we have our oven low enough, this only cooks at like 300 degrees, and I have the water in the pan.
You're going to bake stuff in those little plastic cups?
Yeah, it's really fun. And then when they come out, I just go.
How do they not just melt and turn into a glaze over
Low enough temperature.
All right. Hey, Sandy, I'm going to put a bouquet garni in my red wine and garlic and shallot reduction.
Give me it. A bouquet garni is a bundle of herbs that you help flavor your sauce or anything with liquid, because that liquid will cook those herbs. We've got peppercorns in here, thyme, parsley stems, and a bay leaf. And it goes in the liquid. Anytime you make a soup or a stew or anything, you can throw a bouquet garni in there because it's easy to grab that out instead of trying to pull out those thyme leaves or the bay leaf or the individual peppercorns.
Do you buy bouquet garni already in the bag like that?
No.
You make them yourself?
Yeah.
With fresh herbs and stuff?
No, these are dry. Dry herbs are fine as long as it's cooking long enough to reconstitute those herbs and get out the flavor. Fresh is better when you're cooking quickly because they give their flavor faster. The only problem with the bouquet garni is when we go into the blender later, you've got to take it out before you go into the blender, especially if you're like, doing an exam when you're in culinary school.
What are you implying?
Brian did that. I don't think he did very well in that exam.
Yeah, I left the bouquet garni in the soup when I pureed the soup in my first practical exam. And there was no hiding that because it made the blender scream in a pretty violent way. So I could see Chef marking my classroom grade before I even got a chance to recover.
Mm-hmm.
So for how many of you do you watch a lot of Food Network, watch a lot of people cooking on TV, watch from a distance while you're sitting on a sofa eating chips, watching other people do some fancy cuisine, huh? Thinking what it must be like to be near that food cooking. Well, at least you took it one more step and you're a little closer to the actual hands-on cooking. The next step from where you are right now is to get into a cooking class, go to a cooking school, have a teacher put your hands on the food and tell you how to stir that food and taste that food. You got to make this a more visceral thing. If you're just watching, you're missing most of the experience. Food is a very visceral, personal exchange, okay? So I recommend you get up into the classroom and let somebody direct you into improving the skills you have. That's what we do, and we make it fun.
Most of our classes in Bethesda are participation classes, so you come in and watch the chef demo, but then you're doing it yourself, and that's what really gets it ingrained in your head of what to do. You see it, you do it, and you walk out with a recipe, and you go home and do it again, and that's how you really learn. And it's everything from like a one-time nice skills class to like a 12-week technique class, so there's something for everyone. If you just want to learn how to make soufflés, you can take just a soufflé class. You want to just learn how to decorate a cake, you can do just that. You want to just learn how to make pasta, you can do just that. So we have a one-time class, 3-week classes, whatever interests you.
Or if your next career is as a culinary professional, I am your boot camp instructor of your first 12 weeks in the professional program. And we have a couple of graduates here that you can talk to about what that experience is like.
I'm going to shake your sauce.
Oh, I love it when you talk like that. Now, see, Sandy and I's first date was Valentine's Day, and to this day we celebrate that first date, which was a commitment, by the way. We celebrate that first date by making a fabulous dinner, usually as a dinner date class at l'Académie de Cuisine, where we do our Sonny and Cher sort of marriage therapy and cooking at the same time approach to culinary instruction. We often take separate cars, because we often leave in separate cars.
We drove together today, but I told him there's a Metro and I'll buy him a Smart Trip card if I need to.
Yeah, but you watch National Geographic, but you do cooking, okay? Don't make it so vicarious anymore. Get up here and do it.
Okay, I'm going back to flan. My cauliflower is just soft, so I'm going in my blender top. Whenever you have hot liquid in a blender, hold it with a towel. We know that heat expands. You don't want that top to pop off and get you, so hold a towel on your blender top. Puree it nice and smooth.
Can you hear me over the roar of the blender? Yeah? Okay, good, because I'm about to add some chicken stock to my red wine reduction in which I'm going to cook my beets.
How do you know if the wine's reduced enough?
By smelling whether the alcohol is cooked off and whether the level of the liquid is reduced.
And if the liquid hasn't reduced, your nose does not know that. You cannot get out of the way. Get out of the way.
It has to be only minimally reduced.
It's called the parting of the Red Sea trick. And if you can run your spoon and the liquid sloshes back in, it's not reduced enough. But if you run your spoon and it stays like the parting of the Red Sea, then you're reduced enough to go to your next step. But we need to cook out that alcohol. Some people's noses aren't that sensitive. And we need to cook that out because we don't put alcohol in the food. It goes in your glass on the table. So, yeah, so parting of the Red Sea, it's not parting yet.
Well, you know what? Let's crank it up.
Okay. I'm going to now temper my hot cauliflower puree into my egg mixture. So tempering is pouring quickly and whisking, pouring slowly and whisking quickly so those eggs don't scramble. They come up in temperature gradually. What'd you do? It's all your fault?
Does that mean I won?
Oh, I doubt it. Okay. Whisking, pouring, whisking, pouring. They're not talking to us, are they?
I think your train is leaving. Did you check out this cool salad spinner? Yeah.
Did they get you a new toy?
Okay, so those beets are very sandy. Yeah. So those beets are very sandy and need to be rinsed of all their grit before we saute them or cut them up and saute them as a garnish on the...
And the best way to clean them is to do them in a bowl like that, not necessarily just under your faucet. Get them all the way in water. Dirty herbs, greens, just put them in a bowl of water. Everything will come off better.
Lots of water. Rinse it.
Okay, I'm going to put some Parmesan cheese into my cauliflower mixture because it makes it taste good.
Sadie, what would you think is the first most important skill that somebody who's thinking about cooking and needs to take it to the next level?
You're getting a little too schmaltzy now for me.
It's my background.
Go ahead and just tell them about the knife skills class then.
Knife skills. If you're still using a steak knife to do everything from julienning a carrot to breaking down a steak, you need some more knife skills. And it's not intimidating. It's very easy, okay? Sharp knives may look dangerous. Big knives may look dangerous. The bigger, the sharper, the safer, the easier, all right? You just need someone to show you how to do it. It's just like balancing a checkbook. Knife skills are life skills.
What?
Yeah, it's true. Hey, I'm putting my beets in that chicken stock solution. What do you think?
Okay. Ooh, that was perfect. Okay, so I've got my flan in my cups, and the trick is to not put the water in the pan now. Take this to the oven, get it on the rack, and then pour the water in so you're not walking around and sloshing water into this, which I've already got, the ratio right. So don't mess that up.
What is that called when you put stuff in a pan in the oven surrounded by water?
You're asking that because you don't like the way I say it.
Yeah, I like the way you say it.
It's a bain-marie.
Yeah?
What do you say?
Or a water bath. But most baths are water, aren't they?
Yeah, is there actually a bath that's not water? Jello?
Tongue.
All right. Do you still need this little burner on that has nothing on it?
Yeah, I like all the burners on. You're
just trying to heat it up here.
It's soothing. It makes me less nervous. All right, I'm going to chop my beet greens up here a little bit. In fact, what I'm going to do here is roll my beet greens up into a big, fat cigar-like shape. and then cut against that big cigar into strips. And if this were any finer, we would use a cool word. Chiffonade is the word for fine threads cut in this manner. Chiffonade.
Why can't it be chiffonade?
Well, it's too fine and it'll just...
No, but why can't you call that chiffonade?
This isn't chiffonade.
Well, why? It looks like chiffonade.
This is concassé.
That's not concassé, that's chiffonade. It's just a big chiffonade. It's not a little chiffonade.
Have you looked up concassé recently in the dictionary?
You can't say that there's a measurement for chiffonade.
It's concassé because
there's no measurement.
Roughly chopped.
It's just, it's thin slices. it's chiffonade. Okay, fish time. I'm getting ready for fish because I got my flan in the oven. Ha, beat you. I've got some beautiful rockfish fillets that Brian deboned and skinned for me. Although I asked for 2 and I got 8. It's okay. And we're going to do a standard breading procedure on these, which keeps whatever flavor of your breadcrumb mixture, whatever kind of crumb mixture you want to put on. You can do breadcrumbs with herbs in it, is a simple one. You can run nuts in a food processor if you can't do breadcrumbs. It's a great way to flavor fish. It's also a great way to have a crust on fish and hold it together. Some of those fishes that fall apart when you cook them in a pan, and a crust will hold them together. So a standard breading procedure starts with flour, because flour sticks to the fish.
It's like a primer coat.
It's your primer coat?
It's like a primer coat.
Did you flour yourself this morning? Then eggs, because egg sticks to the flour, and then your breadcrumb mixture. And today I'm going to do some breadcrumbs, some Parmesan cheese. I've got some dry thyme, celery seed, oregano, and I've got some horseradish. And when you do the horseradish, when you buy that in the jar, make sure you squeeze out that extra liquid. We don't want that, that's just kind of a brine that it sits in, and you want to really squeeze that out. You can do it with a piece of cheesecloth, coffee filter, the best strainer there is. Salt and pepper in here.
Everybody following along here? You got it? You might do this at home? You got chicken stock?
Actually, chicken stock, vegetable stock, water, whatever it is you're using in that, just not something with salt in it, because it's going to reduce by the time those beets cook. So I'd rather it be water than chicken broth from a giant juice box with salt in it. You're not going to make the beet sauce? Oh, it's so good, though.
No, she said she makes it with fish. You make it with fish?
She's making mine, not yours. Ha! Yeah, but then he was changed. He gave it a chance. I'll let you taste my beet sauce, and we'll see. Okay, that horseradish is a little wet, so I'm really crumbling that up to make sure it gets in all the breadcrumbs. But this could be just the breadcrumbs and herbs that I did. You know, anything you like is a great way. I've done orange zest in here with salmon, which is nice with salmon, so it can be anything.
What would you say is the next most important skill people should learn in their home cooking?
Well, I'm guessing you have something on your mind, so why don't you tell them?
You know, once you've mastered a couple of knife skills in the kitchen, and you've learned to chop some carrots and some celery and some onions and break down a couple of chickens, the next chapter in the big book of taking yourself seriously as cooks is stocks, is making your own stocks and weaning you off of the box stock and the canned stock and the chicken Kool-Aid that you buy in a cube. Okay? There's value in real stock made from real bones.
Chicken bouillon is artificially flavored salt. Okay, so I'm gonna always season up my fish first. Don't season down here like this. That gets like little patches. Your up high gives you a nice even coating.
You look good up there, Sandy.
Thanks. Trying to get pepper out of a pepper mill?
Do what to who?
Huh? Oh, you talk but don't listen? Really? Big surprise.
Well, I don't have my glasses on.
Okay.
All right, my greens are ready for the saute pan anytime you're ready for the fish.
That's not going to happen until we plate.
I just was letting you know I'm ready.
Then you just stand over there and look pretty. Okay, so with fish, I usually don't put breading on all of it because when you have a small piece, I think it overwhelms the fish. And I think it's pretty just to put the breadcrumbs on the top. So just the top of the fish. And the top is the skin side. That's always the side that's presented on the plate up. The bone side. The skin side you can tell, like see Brian's left a little bit of that silvery skin on the back side. That's the skin side. So this bone side is always the pretty side. So I've dipped my bone side in the flour, and then into the egg, and then into my crumb mixture. And that's what it looks like. Okay? Flour, egg, crumb. Now we're going to cook this to adhere it to the pan. Get off my big...
Watch out, the handle might be hot.
You can't hog over here. You have to share. We're going to cook just this brown side, this crumb side, to adhere it to the fish. If you do a super hot pan, like you would cook a steak on super high heat, it'll burn those breadcrumbs. So you've got to make sure your pan's sort of more of a medium heat. And we're going to get some fat in the pan. That fat can be a canola oil, a butter, an olive oil. Because it's not super high heat cooking, it can be kind of whatever combination you want. I'm going to do a little canola and a little butter combo.
You're not on.
What are you looking for?
Because you're not on.
Well, then turn me on.
I'll turn you on, all right. Notice the difference?
That it's on?
It's a family show.
We didn't bring the kids, though.
They're watching from home. Probably sitting in a chair watching chips.
Watching chips?
Yeah, eating chips. That's right.
I left them soup for lunch.
All right, talk to me. What else we got here? My beet
Okay, do you want to... The magic of television. Oh, look, here's a pot with soft beets.
Oh, look at that. All done.
So what's the first thing you're going to do now that your beets are cooked?
I'm thinking take the bouquet garni out of the pot.
There you go.
How do you think? What do you think? What do you say?
Here.
Oh, suddenly you see the value of lots of little plastic cups, huh? All those Chinese containers, all the food you use from your Chinese carryout and your Thai food and all your carryout, awesome for keeping all your little chippy choppy and mise en place and prep in your kitchen. So don't throw those little snap lid containers out. Our basement is full of stacks of these carryout containers, and we use them for all the little chopped carrots, chopped celery, chopped everything that's going to go into the food. Your cutting board is not your repository for all your chippy choppy mise en place. Okay? You chop something, you put it in a container. You chop something. It's just like in surgery. Do you think surgeons leave hearts and livers and kidneys lying around on the operating table? No. They have little Chinese carryout containers that they put the stuff in, and they put it in the refrigerator, and then they move on to their next project. Right?
Okay, side mark to my fish. When you put the fish in the pan, a good sign is when you see this little bubbling around the edge. If you put it in and it's like psh, too loud, is high heat cooking. So you want a little activity in the pan, but not too loud, so that we're cooking those breadcrumbs to the fish. Okay, you can go back.
To doing what?
Talking. Give me this. This is mine.
What is that?
This is my fish spatula. It's called a Peltec. It's nice. It has a little curve, nice and flat for getting in under my fish. And I'm going to take my fish and go right onto my sheet tray. I'm just going to cook the breadcrumb side, and then I'm going to throw the whole thing in the oven. In fact, this is a great way to think about cooking because higher heat in pan cooking will toughen the protein if I cook it through in the pan. That fish will get drier. And if I do it in my oven at 350, get out of the way. That will cook the fish more gently and it'll stay nice and moist. This is what restaurants do. They don't brown these when you order them, I hate to tell you. They've done all this browning of the crusts in like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're all sitting in a fridge. And you order that dish and they go in and grab it and they go finish it in the oven. I use this trick at home all the time. It's great for a party if I'm cooking for like 10 people. I can brown all those ahead of time, have them on a tray and throw them in the oven 10 minutes before I want to serve. I also use it on a weeknight basis because someone says they're going to leave work at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Call me at 6:30, says they're halfway home, and I know they're still in the parking lot.
That's because I'm cooking my stuff to order.
Yeah, so I do this at home with just the family, and when the car actually pulls up, then I put everything in the oven and get ready to serve dinner. So I have my nice brown crust on my fish, and I'm gonna throw these guys in my oven now.
You're gonna set something off
Yeah,
here.
can you turn that off? Helping
You're
here.
done cooking?
Teamwork.
That's it? Only the 2 pieces?
That's what we agreed to, like 3 hours ago.
I remember agreeing to stuff with you. Did you notice I have a different look?
She asked a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was your question?
I'm gonna answer it. You just stand there and look pretty. I don't like you to think about times. Try to get away from thinking about specific times because that rockfish could be this thick and you could go home and cook one this thick. And if I tell you 4 minutes, yours is gonna be raw. So I'd rather you learn what done is. And when you push on a piece of raw fish, it's smushy. And the more it cooks, the more it firms up. So I'm gonna tell you that this piece is probably gonna be about 5 minutes, but you've gotta think not necessarily in times, but in what done is. And done fish feels firmer when you push on it. And the other hint is white fish, salmon, and chicken all starts to release a little white foam around the edges. Have you guys ever seen that? That means the protein is cooked and it's starting to release some of its protein. So if you see that white foam, that is a great hint that your fish, your chicken, your salmon, any of those are done too. So I'll show that to you when it comes out.
What is that stuff?
Go ahead and tell them.
You mean albumin?
Yeah, thanks, honey.
The protein, like in egg whites?
I said protein.
You did say protein.
You like the fancier words.
Well, that's my
Always
job.
have to be fancy.
I have to
I know.
be fancy.
I talk to people. You talk
See?
to books.
Check my scarf out.
Yeah, I know.
See the new logo?
Yeah. I don't get the new logo yet.
Yeah, it's national. LADC.
From LA to DC.
Across the country, covered. All right?
But we're here.
All right, can I puree my beets? You know what I'm
Sure,
saying?
go ahead. Did you take out the bouquet garni?
I'm thinking, what are you making me
Just
check
checking.
check twice? You know how
yeah.
I am about that. This is a VitaPrep, the power tool of the commercial and home kitchen. It's expensive, but man, does it tear things up. I could put a lobster in here. I could put one of you in here and make a nice puree. This is a great blender, okay? And just like a car, start in first gear and then work your way up to 5th gear. Don't start in 5th gear. You also might be wearing it if you started in high gear. I like your oven.
Watch your beets.
Puree thoroughly.
I watch the side, and when you don't see any more like little clumpy pieces is when I think it's good. If your blender is not one of these that will really like crank it out, you can always pass whatever you've blended through a strainer, like a loose strainer, so that it'll catch any big pieces and make your sauce prettier, or soup, or whatever it is.
Am I
How's the
using the same
consistency?
pot?
Do you need to go in a pot? Why can't you just go from here?
We can just go from there.
You got extra bowls, didn't you?
Like I was saying, one of the ways that we define a lot of French cuisine is that we take a critter or a fruit or a vegetable and puree it and strip it of all its natural fiber and replace it with cream and butter. Wow.
What critters
crickets.
do you do that to? Because you made it sound so good.
Well, chicken for one.
Yeah, but why? You're not making, what? Turn the pan off.
Why?
You're gonna burn it.
The pan?
Yeah. Or yourself. Show them your hand.
You can't see it through the beets.
You've camouflaged your burn.
Through the beet.
See what you did? See what you did?
Check it out. Yeah, it's fine. I've seasoned.
You're smoking.
I'm seasoning the pan.
You're smoking.
It's fine.
You're burning
Smoke
stuff on.
detector's way over there. All right, let's go. Come on.
My fish isn't done.
Really?
Oh, my flans are probably done though, by the magic of television. So here come my flans. See, the cups haven't melted or anything like that. And I'm just gonna squeeze these out onto the plate. Ta-da! Actually, I should do sauce first, shouldn't we? I've got a couple cool sauce tools. Oh, I didn't unpack my spoon.
I'm using a little olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, in which to cook my beet greens. And I'm off the heat because I am, in fact, the thermostat.
You are not a thermostat. I mean, there are a lot of strengths you have, but I don't think that's one of them. So I decided to do 2 different plates to kind of show you a couple different ways to plate food. And I went kind of round on this one, and this is the trend now, is that like drag through the sauce thing to elongate it on a plate. Now I'm gonna put my flan down.
Flan down.
Where did my Peltec go? Oh. Did you put any garlic in those?
Yeah.
You did?
Oh, yeah. Do you want to... Want any lemon juice in there?
Oh, I guess so.
Yeah, it'd be
Yeah,
good.
since I didn't get garlic.
Complements the garlic.
Yeah, we didn't get the garlic, did
Yeah.
we? No.
Well, there's so much garlic in the beet. Most of your food at home, the difference between your food at home and most restaurants, more salt, more butter, more acidity. More salt, more lemon juice than you would think to make your food pop, to make your tongue come alive, okay?
I don't know if you can see it, but I've got a little bit of foam coming out of my fish right here, and that's that white foam that I was talking about that you're looking for. Also, I feel it. Feel your fish when it's raw so you know what raw fish feels like. I mean, if you feel it every time, and maybe the first 37.5 times you have to cut the fish open to see if it's done, that 38th time you're gonna go, I know what that felt like, and you're gonna be able to do it without cutting it open.
Yeah. Feel the beet.
Beet green selfie?
It's good.
Oh wait, I want to switch on.
Taste your food. If you're going to serve other people food, I recommend you taste it before you feed it to other people, before they go, what's going on with this food? Well, I don't know, maybe I should taste it. Whoa, that's not what I expected. Taste your food before you serve it to other people.
Are you serving that to other people?
Yes, theoretically.
Good?
And as a general rule in life, taste more, eat less. If you taste more variety of stuff and eat less mass of stuff, you will be satiated in a much more lively, vivid way. Do you understand? Your palate is intellectually stimulated by the variety.
How can your palate be intellectually stimulated?
Your mind's palate? You don't have your mind doesn't have a
Your
palate?
palate is palatially satisfied.
Everybody in this room has a mind's palate, and they're imagining in their mind's palate
Sherlock.
how that food tastes.
Okay, when you put greens on a plate, its height is pretty. Don't smash them down all flat like a pancake. Height is pretty. So grab a bunch with your tongs and have some height to them. That's what looks pretty. Okay? You guys see that up there? Ooh, I like that.
You look good up there.
Me or the fish?
You?
Okay, so yes.
Speak up, man.
Wait, do you mind going to the microphone? The white stuff that
You
come
mean
out
the
of
little
the
white
fish?
stuff seeping out of the...
Oh,
Oh, that white stuff.
it's a cauliflower flan. So a flan is a savory custard. It involves eggs and dairy of some kind. And I cooked that with cauliflower and a clove of garlic. And then I pureed it, tempered it into my eggs, baked it, and it became a savory flan that's on the plate. There's one behind you, too.
What seasoning did you put in?
In the flan, I did just some salt. Sometimes I'll use white pepper in that so it won't show up as little flecks on the bottom of my flan, because in the cup they always sink to the bottom. But I didn't have the white pepper today, so I just went with the salt.
So we use white pepper to keep white food white, to make so it doesn't
I like
discolor
the taste
food.
of black pepper better, but in a case like this, I wouldn't want, they would just be sitting right there.
Wouldn't you put a little nutmeg in something like that,
No,
flan?
I'm not a big nutmeg fan.
I am.
Yeah, too bad.
I'd put nutmeg in there.
Yeah, I'm not
I
gonna
mean,
do
not
that.
enough to make it taste like Christmas, but
No,
yeah.
no, no. I would know you did it, that's enough.
Yes.
We were just wondering if you have recipes for this meal.
Aren't they getting recipes? No.
But they'll be online.
Oh, I can't hear you. You need a microphone.
Good girl.
If you email
That
classes
pan right there.
at lacademy.com and requesting these recipes,
Olive oil.
we will email them
A
back
little bit
to
of
you.
olive oil.
Okay.
All right, what was that, Clarice? Do you know who was until recently the director of the recreational campus and has passed that baton to Emily Worth, who is standing right next to her, who is a product of L'Académie de Cuisine and graduated near her at the top of her class. But now Clarice has come over and is working at the professional campus of L'Académie de Cuisine to give order and purpose to our curriculum and syllabus.
Thank you. If you can email us at classes@lacademy.com requesting these recipes, we will absolutely send you all the copies. You can also visit us on our website, and then you can visit us at our booth at 531 if you want to give us your direct information, and I can send them out within the next 24 hours. Okay?
Also, make note that on the catalog that's on your chair, there's a 25% off coupon for you guys as coming here. If you sign up for a class, you can get 25% off. We also do kids camps all summer, which are fabulous. Great way for kids to get in the kitchen, and amazing what kids will eat that they've cooked themselves. Really fun.
And it's the only way to expand your kids' repertoire beyond macaroni and cheese and chicken wings.
It's not the only way. If they cook at home, they can do that too.
Taste. Everybody has to taste. One bite. What's the one bite rule? You have to try each thing one bite.
People cook at home with their children, unlike us.
It helps.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the bouquet that you put into your beets,
Yes.
and then you pulled out, what was that made? I know the spices that you put in that. Was that just cheesecloth?
Yeah, we'll use cheesecloth, a little cheesecloth sachet. We'll make a little, almost like a tea bag with cheesecloth and put into it thyme, bay leaf, parsley, peppercorns.
It could be a coffee filter, you know, but something that you can tie up with those herbs so that you can grab the whole thing out. And you can customize those. If you're making, you know, a minestrone soup and you want oregano flavor in there, put oregano in your bouquet garni. It doesn't have to be, this is sort of the classic considered bouquet garni, but you can customize it to be whatever flavor you want to put in your dish. Sometimes when I do my Asian food, I'll do Asian seasonings in my bouquet garni.
And let's face it, if you're putting all kinds of stuff into a liquid and everything's going to be strained,
Too close to
then
the
you can
speaker.
put your bouquet garni in loose, and we call that a loose bouquet.
That goes
Okay, thank
against
you.
everything we just talked about.
I know, but I like saying loose bouquet.
You just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts?
Is there a reason why you prefer to use the blender versus an immersion blender when you have hot
I have a preference.
liquids?
Do you?
Let's hear your preference first.
I think that going into a blender it covers everything. I find an immersion blender leaves more chunks and stuff, so I personally like going my food into a blender. And then you can strain it out if you need to strain anything out, but I just think it's more effective personally. But I'm not against immersion blenders. If you have that and you like that, do that.
Yeah, to me, a blender, whether it's a smaller blender than this or the VitaPrep, it more thoroughly and uniformly blends stuff. You know you've gotten your teeth on everything that needs to be disintegrated.
Because it's falling down into that blade. Do you know what I mean?
And
Versus
then,
if you put it in a pot, you could have them in the corners that isn't getting in there. But I'm not against it. I don't own like a different piece of equipment for everything. My blender does a lot of things, so that's why I like it.
yeah, and the point she made also is usually you're coming out of a blender, often through a strainer, back into a pot. And this way you're guaranteed you've got more breakdown. Does that make sense?
My mom puts salt in the water to soak her greens. She thinks that it takes out the grit. Is there any truth in that?
I don't know about salt necessarily helping to remove sand and grit. I think it's just volumes of water. Just rinse volumes of water. Yeah, to me, lots and lots of water to get that stuff out.
And there's also a nifty Japanese tea bag that you can make your own tea bags that you can buy.
Yeah.
That might work for the
Yeah, it'd be a great idea.
Yeah, that's great. But in a commercial situation, those are going to be a little more expensive, and you're spending $1 instead of 10 cents to make your bouquet. But at home, absolutely, those would be.
You could buy a big pack of it.
Yeah.
Where can you buy those?
In the Japanese tea store.
Hey, there are a lot more of those these days. There's tea stores a lot more places, I have to say.
Yeah, or Asian market.
We actually use that for pho.
We're a big fan of the Asian markets. We find my Asian markets near my house have great produce, and I love my Asian market. Yeah. I'm very happy to see you today.
Yeah, another question.
What kind of pans do you prefer to use, like for your sautéing? I hear all different things, and you know, for nonstick or stainless steel, or I mean, do you have a specific kind?
Kind of depends on what you're cooking and what the context is. Our home, you know, so many brands like All-Clad, you have the All-Clad teapot and the All-Clad spoon rest and the All-Clad. We have maybe a different pan for each different purpose. In general, for high heat sautéing, where you're trying to brown something, I prefer a heavier bottom stainless steel pan. Stainless steel is good because it's non-reactive, meaning if you put wine or cream in that sauce pan later, it won't react, whereas aluminum or cast iron does. And I need a heavy bottom because once I get it hot, I need it to stay hot so that when I start putting cold pieces of food in that pan, it will tolerate that introduction of cool food and stay hot, okay? So heavy bottom and stainless steel are two primary concerns there.
But the one rule is the Teflon coated pans, which is this kind of pan, the Teflon coating should not be heated up to high temperatures. That's when it starts to release some of its chemicals. So that is for lower heat cooking. So the fish I was only doing on a medium heat, and it's nice for that breading not to stick to it. Scrambled eggs, things like that that are great for, you know, so we own one of those for our lower heat cooking that we don't want to stick. But for high heat cooking, it's not Teflon coating. There are other nonstick coatings like ceramic and things like that, but that Teflon should not go up to high temperatures.
And I know some of you are quietly thinking this through in your head. You don't sear a steak in a Teflon pan. If you're heating a Teflon pan up high enough to sear a steak, you're damaging the pan.
Isn't that what I just said?
Yes, I'm re-saying it in other ways. It's not good for the Teflon coating, plus it also hurts birds, believe it or not. Look it up. There's like a toxin that kills canaries when you heat a Teflon pan up too high. But what I'm driving at here is if you want to try and sear a decent piece of protein, high heat, the right amount of fat. Don't wimp out on me on the proper amount of heat and the proper amount of fat. Oh, but that's so hot and it looks like so much fat in the pan. It's not about you.
But you don't need a lot of fat when you're doing any animal that's not breaded, like a steak, a chicken breast, it's not much fat. It's just to coat the pan. Breading needs more because that fat has to work up into the breading to get to the fish. But just straight animal flesh is just a very thin coating of high heat cooking oil. So canola, vegetable, peanut are your cooking oils. They go to high temperatures. They don't flavor your food, they cook your food. Okay? We're good?
Any other questions?
Yes. I like butter, but my pan was a little hotter, on the hotter side. You know, butter's really low heat. I was at medium, so the oil cushions my butter a little bit so it doesn't burn. So I get that butter flavor, but you know, not burning. Okay?
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, one more question. Last question. For steak, for me, I use a very big, heavy stainless steel saute pan.
Cast iron.
Or
Cast
a cast
iron is
iron
good.
skillet.
Yeah. Do you have a smoke detector in your kitchen? Yeah. You're not supposed to have a smoke detector.
Yeah.
Right.
Put shower caps over your smoke detectors and open your windows. That's what shower caps are for. Okay? Cover your smoke detectors. All right, we got to wrap it up here, but listen to me. Get away from just watching the stuff and get in the classroom, get in the kitchen, try things you haven't done before. Get out of your comfort zone and let's cook. All
Thank
right?
you, everybody, for coming today.
Thank you. Sandy, man, Sandy.